Settle in now and let the room around you become quiet. Tonight, we travel slowly into the hills of Tuscany, where the evening light rests on stone walls. Cypress trees stand in dark lines along the ridges, and a small medieval town waits above the vineyards. The road curves gently upward through silver olive groves and fields that have already released the warmth of the day. Far below, the valley softens into blue shadow. Above, the first stars begin to appear in a sky that still holds the last gold of sunset. This is a journey without hurry, a quiet arrival, a slow walk through narrow stone lanes, a warm dinner behind an old wooden door, a small room with open shutters, linen curtains, and a view over the sleeping valley. Nothing here needs to happen quickly. The town has stood on its hill for centuries, and tonight it invites you to move at its pace. Before we begin, if you enjoy quiet sleep stories like this, you can subscribe for more calm journeys, peaceful travel stories, and relaxing bedtime narration. You can also leave a comment and tell us where you are listening from, what time it is where you are, and what peaceful place you would like to visit next. It is always wonderful to see how far these stories travel around the world. Now, get comfortable, let the room around you grow quiet, and allow the journey to begin. The road into the hill town begins just as the sun lowers behind the far ridge. For most of the afternoon, you have been moving through the countryside at an easy pace. Vineyards have passed on both sides of the road, their rows following the slopes in long, patient lines. Olive trees have shimmered in the warm air, their leaves silver on one side and green on the other, turning softly whenever a breeze moved through them. Old farmhouses appeared now and then between the trees, with terracotta roofs, faded shutters, and small gardens where rosemary and lavender grew near stone steps. Now the land rises. The road narrows as it climbs. It passes between low walls built from pale local stone, each wall holding back a slope of vines or a small grove of olives. In the distance, the town appears above you, gathered tightly around its bell tower. From below, it looks as if it has grown from the hill itself. Stone houses, arched gates, small windows, tiled roofs, and the old wall that still circles part of the village, all warmed by the last amber light. You slow the car before the final curve. The road bends around a cypress-lined rise, and suddenly the valley opens behind you. It is wide and soft and layered, with vineyards fatting into olive groves into darker woodland, and woodland into distant hills. The colors are quiet now. Dusty green, gold, brown, lavender gray, and the deepening blue of evening. A church bell rings from the town above, not loudly, only once, then again, marking the hour in a way that seems to belong more to the landscape than to any clock. The sound moves down the hill, over the fields, into the valley, and disappears slowly. You continue upward. The entrance to the town is an old stone gate, wide enough for a small car, but not much more. Beyond it, the road becomes a lane paved with uneven stones polished by centuries of footsteps and rain. The buildings lean close, Their walls are warm from the day. Small iron balconies hold clay pots of geraniums and basil. Somewhere nearby, someone is cooking with garlic, olive oil, and tomatoes, and the scent slips gently into the lane. There are no crowds here tonight, only a few local voices from an open window, the sound of cutlery from a small trattoria, a bicycle resting against a wall, and a cat crossing the stones with complete confidence. The shops have mostly closed. One bakery still has a soft light in the back. A wine bar has two small tables outside under a faded awning. The air is warm but cooling, carrying the dry sweetness of stone, herbs, and distant fields. You find a small parking place near the town wall and step out. Your shoes touch the stones. For a moment, you simply stand still. The valley lies below the wall behind you. The town rises quietly ahead. The sky is turning darker, and the first lamps are beginning to glow along the lane. Their light is not bright. It gathers in warm pools beneath iron brackets, leaving the higher walls in shadow. Everything feels old, not as a museum feels old, but as a lived-in place feels old. Used, repaired, loved, changed slowly, and still here. You take your small bag and begin walking toward the inn. The lane climbs gently. Every step sounds different on the stone. A small fountain trickles in a square no larger than a room. Water falls from the mouth of a worn stone lion into a shallow basin darkened by age. Beside it, a bench waits under a climbing vine. A man closes the shutters of a shop. Somewhere above, dishes are being set on a table. The smell of bread drifts from an open doorway. The inn is called La Casa Sulla Collina, the house on the hill. It stands near the upper square, behind a heavy wooden door with a brass handle smoothed by many hands. Above the door, a small lantern glows. The windows on the second floor are open, and pale curtains move slightly in the evening air. You step inside. The floor is terracotta tile. The walls are thick and whitewashed, with old wooden beams overhead and framed drawings of the town as it looked long ago. A narrow reception desk stands near a staircase. Behind it, a woman looks up from a ledger and smiles as if she has been expecting you, not because of a reservation, but because arrivals at night are part of what hill towns understand. She gives you a key with a heavy brass tag. Room 3, top of the stairs, window facing the valley. Breakfast after 8. Dinner, if you like, just across the square. Her voice is gentle, unhurried, and practical. She points toward the stairs, then toward a small sitting room where a lamp glows beside shelves of books. There is a bowl of figs on a table, a ceramic jug of water, a few glasses, the smell of old wood, clean linen, and dried lavender. You climb slowly. The staircase turns once, then again. The steps are slightly uneven, worn in the center from years of use. At the top, a short hallway leads to your room. The key turns with a soft click. Inside, the room is simple and calm. A bed with white linen, a small wooden table, A woven chair, a wardrobe with a mirror, a ceramic lamp, a pitcher and glass, terracotta floor tiles cool underfoot, and beyond the open shutters, the valley. You set the bag down and walk to the window. The town wall is below. Beyond it, the vineyards descend into evening. A few farmhouse lights have appeared far away, each one small and golden in the blue distance. The sky still holds a pale band of light where the sun disappeared. The rest is deepening gently. You breathe in, stone warmed by the day, lavender from the pillow, olive trees somewhere below, tomatoes and herbs from kitchens nearby, the faint mineral scent of the fountain in the square. The journey has arrived, not ended, arrived, and the night in the Tuscan hill town is just beginning. Chapter 1. The Upper Square. After leaving your bag in the room, you return downstairs and step back into the evening. The Upper Square is small and irregular, shaped less by planning than by centuries of buildings finding their place around one another. The church stands on one side, its stone facade pale in the last light. Opposite it, a row of houses leans gently over the square, their shutters painted in faded green and blue. A single cypress rises behind a wall, dark and still against the sky. The square is not empty, but it is quiet. Two older men sit at a table outside the wine bar, speaking in low voices that rise and fall like part of the fountain. A woman carries a basket of folded laundry through a side lane. A child crosses the square with a small dog, both of them moving with the easy certainty of those who know every corner. The trattoria door opens and closes, releasing warmth, light, and the smell of roasted vegetables. You walk first toward the church. The stone under your hand is cool now, though it must have held the sun for hours. Above the door, a carved arch shows leaves, grapes, and a small figure whose face has softened with age. The church is closed, but through a high window you can see a hint of darkness inside, and perhaps the reflection of a candle near the altar. The bell tower rises beside it. From below, it seems taller than it really is because the square is so intimate. A few swallows move around the top, last dark shapes against the sky before night takes them away. The clock face is old, its hands black, its numbers Roman. Time here seems not to push forward, but to circle quietly. You continue along the edge of the square. At the far side, an archway opens to a narrow lane. You pass beneath it and find yourself in a street barely wide enough for two people to walk side by side. The houses are close. Their walls are made of stone and plaster, patched and repainted many times. Doorways sit slightly below street level, with one or two steps leading down. Some doors are heavy wood, others are painted. One has a small brass knocker shaped like a hand. The lane curves. There are no straight lines for long in the old town. Every few steps, a new view appears. A glimpse of the valley through a break in the wall, a stairway climbing between houses, a courtyard with a lemon tree in a terracotta pot, a shrine with a small painted Madonna, and a fresh flower in a glass. The town feels like a place made for walking slowly, not for seeing everything, for noticing a window ledge with basil, a cracked tile in the shape of a leaf, the sound of a radio from an upstairs kitchen, the uneven shadow cast by an iron lamp, the way the air is cooler in a passage and warmer in a square. You reach the town wall at the western side. Here, the lane opens suddenly onto a small terrace. A low stone parapet runs along the edge, and beyond it, the whole valley lies beneath the fatting sky. The vineyards are darker now, but their rows are still visible as fine lines on the hills. A road winds below, pale in the dusk. Farther away, another hill town glows faintly on its own ridge, like a cluster of embers. You rest your hands on the parapet. The stone is rough. From somewhere below comes the faint sound of a tractor returning along a farm road, then nothing. Crickets begin in the grasses beneath the wall. A dog barks once in the distance. The air cools another degree, and the scent of earth rises from the fields. The moon has not yet appeared. The world is in that quiet interval between sunset and night, when colors leave slowly and sounds become clearer. You stand there long enough for the valley to change while you watch it. The last gold leaves the far ridge. The blue deepens. More lights appear in farmhouses. The sky above the town turns transparent and dark. Then the bell rings again. This time, the sound is nearer, fuller, passing over your head and outward into the valley. It is followed by silence so complete that you can hear the fountain in the square behind you. You turn back toward the trattoria. It is time for dinner, but not because you are hungry in a hurried way, because the town is settling into night, and dinner is part of that settling. Warm rooms, slow food, quiet voices, bread on the table, wine in a glass, and the feeling of being welcomed into the rhythm of the hill. Chapter 2. Dinner behind the wooden door. The trattoria is behind a wooden door painted dark red. From outside, it looks modest, almost hidden. A small sign hangs beside the entrance, hand-lettered, with the name Osteria del Pazzo, the Well Tavern. Through the window, you see a few tables covered in simple cloths, a shelf of wine bottles, copper pans on the wall, and a fireplace that is not lit because the night is too warm for fire, though the hearth gives the room a sense of winter, even in summer. You enter. The sound changes immediately. Outside, the square was spacious and cool. Inside, the room is close and warm. Low voices, glasses touching, a chair moving across the tile floor, someone laughing softly near the kitchen door. The air carries the smell of olive oil, rosemary, slow-cooked sauce, toasted bread, and wine. A waiter leads you to a small table near the window. From there, you can see the square through old glass that makes the lantern light blur slightly at the edges. The menu is short, seasonal, written on thick paper. There are no photographs, no urgency, no need to choose quickly. Soup with white beans and sage, pappardelle with mushrooms, roasted vegetables, pecorino with honey, local wine from the valley below. You order simply: water, a small glass of red wine, pasta, bread, perhaps a little cheese at the end. While you wait, you listen to the room. At the table near the kitchen, a family speaks in a mixture of Italian and familiar silence, passing bread, pouring water, nodding more than explaining. Near the door, a couple reads the menu together in whispers. The waiter moves with the calm efficiency of someone who has worked in the room for years and knows exactly which floor tile creaks. The bread arrives first. It is unsalted Tuscan bread, pale and firm, served with olive oil so green it almost glows under the lamp. You tear a piece and dip it lightly. The oil tastes of grass, pepper, fruit, and sun held in the olives long after the day has ended. Then the pasta arrives, wide ribbons handmade, with a sauce of mushrooms, herbs, and a little butter or oil that catches the light. Steam rises softly. The first bite is simple and deep. Earthy mushrooms, fresh pasta, salt, warmth, and the comfort of food made by hand in a place that has fed travelers for a long time. You eat slowly. There is no reason not to. Outside, the square darkens fully. The church facade becomes pale under the lamp. The two men at the wine bar remain at their table, now silhouettes more than faces. A cat sits near the fountain, watching the movement of water. The inn window above the square glows softly. The wine is gentle, not heavy, not dramatic. It tastes of the valley in a quiet way: dark fruit, dry earth, something herbal. You drink only a little, enough to feel the warmth spread through the chest and shoulders, enough to make the evening slower. The waiter brings pecorino with a small spoon of honey. The cheese is firm, salty, and rich. The honey carries the scent of wildflowers. Together they taste like hillside and summer, even though night has settled outside. For a while, you do nothing but sit. This is one of the quiet gifts of travel: to be in a room where you are not responsible for anything beyond receiving the evening. You do not have to cook, plan, answer, hurry, or prove. You can sit near a window in a hill town, listen to a language moving gently around you, and let the day become memory. The room begins to empty, one table at a time. The family leaves, thanking the kitchen as they go. The couple steps into the square holding hands. The waiter clears plates quietly. The kitchen door swings open once, and you glimpse a cook wiping down a counter, steam rising behind him. You pay at the small counter near the door. The owner asks if you are staying in town. You say yes, just for the night. She nods as if this is enough. She tells you the morning view is best from the eastern wall, just after sunrise, if you wake early. Then she smiles and adds that if you do not wake early, the view will still be there later. You step outside. The night air is cooler now. The square is almost empty. The fountain continues. The church clock shows a little after 10. Above the rooftops, stars have appeared. Not many yet, but enough. The town has become quieter than before, as if dinner was the last busy part of the day, and now even the stones are preparing for sleep. You walk without choosing a destination. The narrow lanes wait in lamplight. The valley waits below, and somewhere in the warm room behind you, dishes are being washed. Chairs are being placed on tables, and the scent of rosemary remains in the air like a soft farewell. Chapter 3. The Lane of Closed Shutters. After dinner, you follow a lane that descends gently away from the square. It is narrower than the others and quieter. The lamps are farther apart here, leaving stretches of shadow between them. The houses seem asleep already. Shutters are closed. Doorways are dark. A small vine climbs across one wall, its leaves black against the plaster. Your footsteps sound soft and solitary on the stones. The lane smells of night flowers and cool earth. Somewhere behind a wall, jasmine has opened. Its fragrance is stronger after dark, sweet but not heavy, drifting down the lane in waves. Near another doorway, rosemary grows in a pot. When your sleeve brushes it lightly, the scent rises sharp and clean. You pass a small workshop. Through the window, you see shelves of ceramic bowls and plates, all painted in blues, greens, and deep yellows. The room is dark, but one lamp has been left on near the back, making the glazed surfaces shine faintly. A half-painted plate rests on a table, unfinished, waiting for morning. The town is full of things waiting for morning. Bread dough in a kitchen, laundry folded in a basket, chairs stacked inside cafes, wine glasses drying upside down, a cat sleeping on warm stone, a church bell ready to ring again, the valley lying under stars. You reach a small covered passage where the houses meet overhead. Inside the passage, the air is cooler. Your steps echo slightly. At the far end, a lamp hangs over an old door with iron hinges. The plaster around it has been repaired many times, and the layers show under the paint. You pause there, not because it is a landmark, but because the quiet has become especially deep. Then you hear music, very faint, a radio, perhaps, from an upper window. An old song played low, with a voice and a guitar, drifting into the lane and disappearing almost as soon as you notice it. You stand still to listen, but the music is less important than the feeling it gives. Someone awake, someone at home, someone moving gently through their own evening above the street. The lane opens suddenly onto another terrace. This one faces south. The valley here is darker, less open, with cypress trees lined along a road and a cluster of farm buildings below. The moon has risen behind thin cloud, enough to silver the edges of the fields. The rows of vines are barely visible now, but you can sense them by the way the slopes are shaped. A stone bench sits near the wall. You sit down, The bench is cool through your clothes. The town behind you is quiet. Ahead, the Tuscan countryside breathes in darkness. Crickets continue below, steady and delicate. Now and then, the leaves of a cypress move slightly in the breeze. You think about how different darkness is here. Not empty, layered. The darkness of the lane, the darkness under the archway, the darkness of fields, the darkness between stars, the soft darkness inside a house where someone has turned down a lamp. You sit until your breathing slows. A small moth circles the terrace lamp. The light gives the stone wall a warm edge. On the bench beside you, someone has carved initials long ago, now softened by weather. The mark is not dramatic, only a small proof that other people have sat here at night, looking at the same valley, feeling whatever their lives asked them to feel, then rising and walking home. You rise too. The lane back to the square seems even quieter now. You pass the ceramic shop again. The unfinished plate still waits in its pool of light. The jasmine scent follows you for a few steps, then fades. At the square, the wine bar is closed. The tables have been brought inside. The fountain remains awake. The church door is dark. The inn lantern glows above its wooden entrance, and the windows on the second floor are lit softly. You could go up to your room now, but the night is too gentle to leave immediately. So you turn toward the town wall again for one last view over the valley before sleep. Chapter 4. The wall above the vineyards. The town wall is cooler under your hands now. The day's warmth has almost left it. Earlier, when you first arrived, the stone held the sun. Now it holds the night. You lean on it lightly and look out across the vineyards. The valley has become a dark sea of shapes. The rows of vines are no longer clear, but the hills themselves remain visible, rising and falling in slow curves under the moonlight. A few roads show as pale lines. A few houses glow in the distance. Far away, another village rests on a ridge, its lights gathered close together like a small constellation that has fallen to earth. The air is very still, not silent. Stillness is never completely silent. There are insects in the grass below, a faint movement of leaves, the soft trickle of the fountain behind you, the far bark of a dog, and once, the sound of a scooter somewhere beyond the lower road, fatting quickly. But compared to the day, compared to cities, compared to all the places where life announces itself loudly, this is stillness. You let it come closer. The mind begins to loosen when it is given a view like this. It no longer has to hold every thought tightly. It can place them out in the valley, one by one, and let the darkness soften their edges. A thought about tomorrow becomes a farmhouse light. A memory from the day becomes a line of vines. A worry becomes a road curving out of sight. A wish becomes the moon behind thin cloud. None of them need to be solved here. They can simply be part of the view. The church bell rings the half hour, a smaller sound than the hour. Only a few notes, enough to remind the town of time, not enough to disturb it. The sound moves across the rooftops, touches the wall, crosses the vineyards, and fades into the hills. You begin walking along the wall. The path is narrow and paved with flat stones. On one side, old houses rise directly from the lane. On the other, the wall drops toward gardens and fields. Some houses have small back terraces with chairs, potted herbs, and laundry lines. One terrace has a table set for breakfast already, 2 chairs, a folded cloth, a ceramic bowl. Everywhere, there is the sense of life, continuing quietly. Not staged, not polished, just lived. At a corner tower, the wall widens. You step into the rounded space and look down. The slope beneath the town is steep, planted with olive trees whose pale leaves catch moonlight whenever the wind moves. Beyond them are vineyards, then fields, then a darker line of cypress, then more hills. The landscape seems endless in the dark, but not overwhelming. It is vast in a comforting way, like a blanket laid over the earth. You stay at the tower for a while. Your breathing has become slow. The meal rests warmly in your body. The walking has loosened the travel from your legs. The cool air has cleared the last tiredness from the drive. The town behind you feels safe and enclosed. The valley before you feels open and peaceful. This is the balance of hill towns. Protected stone, open view, narrow lanes, wide sky, old walls, distant fields. You take one final look, then turn back toward the inn. On the way, you pass a doorway where a small lantern has been left burning in a niche. Its flame is protected by glass, and it trembles only slightly. You do not know whether it is for beauty, habit, faith, or simply kindness toward the street. It does not matter. It gives light. The inn door opens with the heavy brass key. Inside, the entry is quiet. The reception desk is empty. A lamp has been left on in the sitting room. The bowl of figs remains on the table. You take one and hold it for a moment, feeling its weight, its softness, its deep purple skin. Then you climb the stairs slowly. Each step creaks in the same place as before. And now, the sound feels familiar. Room 3 waits at the top of the hall. Chapter 5. Room 3 above the valley. The room feels different when you return to it at night. Earlier, it was a place of arrival. Now, it is a place of rest. The lamp beside the bed gives a warm circle of light. The open shutters frame the dark valley. The curtains move slightly in the breeze. The terracotta floor is cool. The bed is turned down, and the white linen looks calm in the lamplight. You set the key on the table. Its brass tag makes a small sound against the wood. Then you move through the room slowly, not as a routine exactly, but as a way of letting the day end. You pour water into the glass and drink. You place the folded clothes on the chair. You open the window a little wider, then close it halfway so the night air can enter without making the room cold. You turn off the brighter overhead light, leaving only the bedside lamp. The sounds outside are soft, A faint voice far below in the lane, then a door closing. The fountain in the square. Crickets beyond the wall. A quiet movement of curtains. The distant bell, not ringing now, only present in memory. You sit on the edge of the bed and remove your shoes. The relief is simple and complete. Feet released from walking. Shoulders released from carrying. Hands released from holding maps, keys, menus, bags. The whole body beginning to understand that the journey has paused. You walk once more to the window. The valley is almost entirely dark now. The farmhouse lights remain. The ridge lines are faint. The sky has cleared enough for more stars. You can see the shape of a cypress near the wall, tall and black against the softer night behind it. The room smells faintly of lavender, perhaps from a sachet in the wardrobe, perhaps from the linens, perhaps from the hill itself, carried in on the breeze. You leave the window open just enough. Then you prepare for sleep. There is no television in the room, or if there is, it remains dark and unnecessary. No bright screen, no city noise, no hallway rush. Only a lamp, a bed, a chair, a table, and a valley outside the shutters. You lie down. The linen is cool at first, then warms slowly around you. The pillow is firm. The blanket is light but sufficient. The mattress holds the body in a way that feels practical and old-fashioned, not luxurious in a grand way, but comfortable because it belongs to the place. You turn onto your side and look toward the window. The curtain lifts and falls. For a while, you do not try to sleep. You simply rest with your eyes open, watching the moving shape of the fabric and the dark beyond it. The town is very quiet now. Even the last voices have faded. Somewhere, a shutter taps once, then settles. You think of the day, the road through vineyards, the old gate, the fountain, the square, the trattoria, the lane of closed shutters, the terrace, the wall above the valley. Each memory arrives without effort. Each one softens as it comes. The hill town has a way of slowing memory too. Nothing sharp remains. The day becomes warm stone, gold light, pasta steam, bell sound, jasmine, and Blue Valley air. You breathe in. The sheet moves slightly against your shoulder. You breathe out. The room grows quieter. A final scooter passes far below, so distant it sounds almost like an insect. Then even that disappears. The fountain remains patient and small. The crickets continue. The night settles deeper into the walls. You turn the lamp lower. Not off yet, just lower. The room becomes amber and shadow. The valley becomes wider, and sleep begins to move closer, not suddenly, but the way evening climbed the hill. Slowly, gently, curve by curve. Chapter 6. The Dream of the Old Town. In the space before sleep, the town begins to drift through the mind, not as a map, as fragments. The stone gate appears first, warm in the last sun, with the road curving below it. Then the fountain in the square, water falling from the lion's mouth into the basin. Then the red door of the trattoria, the unfinished ceramic plate under the workshop lamp, the wall above the vineyards, the cypress tree behind the church. These images do not ask to be understood. They only pass gently. You may be asleep already, or nearly asleep, when the bell rings once in the night. The sound enters the room softened by distance and stone. It does not wake you fully. It becomes part of the dream, a bell in an old town where every lane leads to a view, and every window opens to a valley. In the dream, you walk again. The town is empty, but not lonely. Lamps glow beneath arches. The stones shine slightly as if it rained, though the air is dry. Somewhere, bread is baking for morning. Somewhere, a woman opens a shutter and lets in the first blue light, though it is still night. Time does not behave normally in the dream, and that is fine. You pass through the square. The fountain is there. The church is there. The tables are set, but no one is seated. The air smells of rosemary and warm bread. A cat walks ahead of you, pauses beneath the arch, looks back once, then continues down a lane you do not remember seeing before. You follow. The lane curves between high walls and opens onto a garden hidden inside the town. Lemon trees in pots, terracotta jars, a stone path, lavender, a small table with 2 chairs. Above, the stars are bright, closer than before. The whole garden glows faintly, as if moonlight has gathered there and decided to stay. You sit at the table. There is nothing to do, nothing to wait for. The garden is only a resting place in the dream, a little courtyard of quiet inside the old stone town. The cat sits near the lemon tree. The fountain can still be heard somewhere beyond the wall. The bell tower rises above the rooftops, but the clock has no hands. Then the dream changes, as dreams do. You are at the town wall again. The valley below is filled with a soft silver mist. The hills rise through it like islands. Farmhouse lights float in the distance. The vineyards are hidden, but you know they are there. The road you traveled is hidden too. Everything that brought you here has been softened by night. You are not lost. You are simply resting above the world. The mist moves slowly. It touches the olive groves, the cypress trees, the lower roads, the fields, the roofs of small houses. The town wall beneath your hands is steady. The stone has held many nights and will hold this one too. A warm wind comes up from the valley. It carries lavender, earth, grapes, and the faint scent of rain that has not fallen yet. It touches your face. The whole town breathes with it. Then the room returns. The actual room. The bed, the curtain, the dark window, the soft lamp still low, the fountain outside, your body resting under the sheet. You are almost asleep. The dream and the room overlap for a while. The town in your mind and the town outside the window are not separate. They are both quiet, both old, both safe, both resting on the hill under the same stars. You turn slightly. The pillow cools your cheek. The linen settles around your shoulders. The bell does not ring again, but you can still feel its last note somewhere in the walls. The night continues gently. Chapter 7. Before morning. At some quiet hour before morning, you wake just enough to notice the room. The lamp is off now, or perhaps you turned it off without remembering. The window is a soft rectangle of darkness. The curtain moves in and out with the slowest breeze. The air is cooler than before, but not cold. The bed is warm around you. For a moment, you listen. The fountain is still there. Softer now, perhaps because the town is deeper asleep. Crickets are fewer. No voices remain. No footsteps. No dishes. No doors. The whole hill town has entered the most silent part of the night. You do not need to get up. There is nothing to check. No train to catch. No road to drive. No schedule pressing at the door. No city pulling you back. Only this room, this bed, this hill, this valley, and the slow approach of morning, still hidden beyond the horizon. You close your eyes again, but before sleep takes you fully, you imagine the town outside, the square empty under the church, the fountain basin dark and cool, the trattoria door locked, the ceramic shop still, the lane of closed shutters, the terrace above the valley, the cypress trees motionless, the town gate waiting in darkness. Everything is exactly where it should be. This thought is deeply calming. The world often asks the mind to move too quickly, to jump from one concern to another, one place to another, one demand to another. But old towns do not move that way. They remain. They let time pass over them like weather. They accept morning when it comes and night when it falls. They hold footsteps, voices, meals, sleep, rain, sun, and silence without needing to hurry. Tonight, you can borrow that steadiness. You can become, for a while, like the stone wall, present, quiet, unhurried. You can become like the valley, open, soft, breathing under the dark. You can become like the closed shutters, resting until morning. The body sinks deeper into the bed. The shoulders release another layer of tension. The jaw softens. The hands loosen. The legs grow heavy. The breath becomes slower. The room is almost entirely dark, but the darkness is friendly. It has texture. It has air. It has the faint outline of furniture, the open shutters, the chair, the table, the glass of water. Nothing is hidden in a frightening way. Everything is simply resting. You drift. For a while, there may be no images, only sensation. The cool sheet, the warm blanket, the breeze, the fountain, the weight of the body, the quiet of the town. Then, very far away, a bird calls once. Not dawn yet, only a small sign that dawn exists somewhere ahead. You hear it and let it go. Sleep returns. The hill holds the town. The town holds the inn. The inn holds the room. The room holds the bed. The bed holds you. And the night continues, gentle and complete. Final descent, the valley under the quiet hill. Now let the journey become softer. The old gate is closed behind you. The square is quiet. The trattoria is dark. The fountain keeps speaking softly to the stones. The shutters are closed. The valley rests below. The room is warm enough. The bed is ready. There is nothing else you need to do. Let that be true. You are in room 3, above the valley. The window is partly open. The curtain moves gently. The linen is cool and clean. The pillow supports your head. The town wall is below. The vineyards are beyond it. The hills are farther still, fading into the dark. Breathe in slowly. Lavender, stone, and night air. Breathe out. The body settles. Breathe in. A quiet room in an old hill town. Breathe out. The day lets go. Let your feet rest. They have walked the lanes. They have climbed the stones. They have carried you to the square, the wall, the terrace, and back. Now they can be still. Let your legs grow heavy. They do not need to climb the road now. They do not need to follow the lane. They do not need to stand at the wall. Let the hips soften. Let the back release. Let the shoulders lower. The bag is set down. The key is on the table. The window is open just enough. The town is quiet. Let your hands rest. They have held the warm glass, the brass key, the rough stone wall, the edge of the table, the cool window frame. Now they can open. Let your face soften. The evening has already given you everything it needed to give. The road through the vineyards, the old gate, the fountain, the square, dinner behind the wooden door, the lane of closed shutters, the wall above the valley, the room under the quiet roof. Nothing more needs to be collected. Nothing more needs to be remembered perfectly. The town will hold the details for you. If thoughts appear, let them become lights far away in the valley. Small, warm, distant. If worries appear, let them follow the road down the hill and out of sight. If memories appear, let them pass like the scent of jasmine in a narrow lane. You can rest. The fountain continues in the square. Soft water into stone, again, again, again. The crickets continue below the wall. A gentle thread of sound in the dark grass. The curtain moves. In, out. Like breathing, the valley is not asking anything from you. The town is not asking anything from you. The night is not asking anything from you. You are allowed to sleep. Breathe in and out. Again, in and out. Let the old walls stand around the town. Let the cypress trees stand along the ridge. Let the vineyards sleep in their rows. Let the olive leaves turn silver under the moon. Let the bell tower keep the hour without waking you. Let the room become darker. Let the bed become warmer. Let the body become heavier. The journey is complete for tonight. You arrived, you walked, you ate, you listened. You looked over the valley. You returned, you rested. And now, slowly, gently, without effort, you can sleep. Sleep as softly as evening entering the hills. Sleep as deeply as stone holding the warmth of the day. Sleep as quietly as a Tuscan hill town after the last lamp is lowered. Sleep while the valley dreams below the window, while the fountain keeps time in the square, and while nothing more is needed until morning. The room remains quiet above the valley. The curtain lifts once, then settles, and the night air carries only the faintest trace of lavender and stone. Far below, a small farmhouse light glows for a while longer, then disappears. The darkness that remains is soft, wide, and peaceful. The fountain in the square continues its patient sound, water touching stone, stone holding water, the old town breathing slowly around it. There is nothing to follow now. The lanes are empty, the shutters are closed, the hills are calm, and the bed is warm enough for sleep. Let the last image be simple. A quiet window, a sleeping valley, a cypress tree against the stars, and an old hill town resting in the dark. The room remains quiet above the valley. The curtain lifts once, then settles, and the night air carries only the faintest trace of lavender and stone. Far below, a small farmhouse light glows for a while longer, then disappears. The darkness that remains is soft, wide, and peaceful. The fountain in the square continues its patient sound, water touching stone, stone holding water, the old town breathing slowly around it. There is nothing to follow now. The lanes are empty, the shutters are closed, the hills are calm, and the bed is warm enough for sleep. Let the last image be simple. A quiet window, a sleeping valley, a cypress tree against the stars, and an old hill town resting in the dark. The room remains quiet above the valley. The curtain lifts once, then settles, and the night air carries only the faintest trace of lavender and stone. Far below, a small farmhouse light glows for a while longer, then disappears. The darkness that remains is soft, wide, and peaceful. The fountain in the square continues its patient sound, water touching stone, stone holding water, the old town breathing slowly around it. There is nothing to follow now. The lanes are empty, the shutters are closed, the hills are calm, and the bed is warm enough for sleep. Let the last image be simple. A quiet window, a sleeping valley, a cypress tree against the stars, and an old hill town resting in the dark. The room remains quiet above the valley. The curtain lifts once, then settles, and the night air carries only the faintest trace of lavender and stone. Far below, a small farmhouse light glows for a while longer, then disappears. The darkness that remains is soft, wide, and peaceful. The fountain in the square continues its patient sound, water touching stone, stone holding water, the old town breathing slowly around it. There is nothing to follow now. The lanes are empty, the shutters are closed, the hills are calm, and the bed is warm enough for sleep. Let the last image be simple. A quiet window, a sleeping valley, a cypress tree against the stars, and an old hill town resting in the dark.